I just pulled out all the tubes so I can test them, and I thought this was kind of interesting. They are all, actually they're all, except for one, Admiral branded tubes. This is the one exception. Sylvania. Doesn't mean they're all original though. Could very well be that they just took this to an authorized Admiral service center and they replaced with Admiral branded tubes, because check this out. Made in USA for Admiral by Tungsol. Made in USA for Admiral by CBS Hytron. Made in USA for Admiral by RCA. And there are some Raytheons. And the color of the ink and font, there's slight differences, so these could represent like a decade of replaced tubes. Hard to say. But we'll check them and we shall see how many are actually still good. I'm using my recently refurbished Cardmatic 121 to test the tubes. As soon as I put in the 3CB6 band shorts, and that's pretty common. These tubes are used in the IF. I don't know what it is about CB6s, but quite often they've got shorts. Bam, this one too. Luckily I have a lot of replacements on hand. Now obviously the set's working with them in it, so it's not like a dead short. It's just, I guess these IF tubes get ridden kind of hard, or maybe it's just how they're constructed, but material seems to migrate inside the tubes, causing partial shorts. So those will get replaced. Hopefully the picture quality will improve as a result. In addition to the two 3CB6s, I also discovered that the horizontal output tube was weak. I replaced all three, and I don't think it's going to make a huge difference, but I figured why not do another power-up test just to find out. Perhaps the video will be sharper, perhaps there'll be more high voltage and the picture will be brighter. Nah, looks about the same to me, so I think what this really needs is some new capacitors. I just finished replacing these three caps and some out-of-spec resistors on that main board, so let's give it another try. Yeah, I'd say that's looking better. The main issue I still see remaining is vertical linearity. It's just terrible. Alright, that's looking better. There actually is a height and linearity control easily accessible on the back. Don't quite have full width. That could be another leaky cap causing that. Oh, there's a width control on this set. Yeah, I'm very happy with just a minimal amount of work. This set is looking a whole lot better.
That's not true. Yeah, we just thought maybe you had some business. Something serious to say. Not really. I just thought I'd stroll in here.
Next up, I would like to recap the circuit board. However, I can't do that with the way it's currently mounted inside the TV. Now, when I restored my other T-102, I ended up taking the picture tube out, which certainly makes this far more accessible and easier to work on, but I really don't want to take this out because it's a pain to remount. So I'm hoping I can get it out somehow. I can get these two seleniums out of the way. They're going to get replaced by diodes anyways. And what's holding it in is there's a screw here on this little bracket and another one down here and then a few wires. And it seems to me that I should be able to get a screwdriver threaded down from the top down to here and over here, and I can get at those wires, and with the rectifier out of the way I should be able to pull it out like this. But I know I failed before when I tried that, so I don't know, maybe I'm smarter now than I was then, or maybe it just isn't quite so easy. But I'm going to give it a shot and see how it goes. Pretty quickly it became obvious that I was just going to have to take the CRT out. Even with this out of the way, just not easy to get at. And look, there's a capacitor attached between the circuit board and the chassis, and there's other parts packed down in there. There was just no option, it had to come out. So here it is. That's just as well, because it'll give me a chance to glue on this loose base. Now, it's speculated earlier that this might be a rebuild. I'm still not sure, but there is definitely a seam here. Could be from when it was initially manufactured. Could be a rebuild. I'm not sure. Just don't know if Thomas was an OEM manufacturer or a rebuilder. Alright, so I will get these two screws out, disconnect some wires, clip off that cap, and then this should go pretty quick. All these caps I want to replace. And then this guy and this guy, electrolytic, bumblebee, check the power resistors. And replace that electrolytic too. And then replace seleniums with modern silicon diodes. Things are progressing steadily on this little board. Couple things of interest. One is this little guy, which is a dual selenium rectifier used in the AFC horizontal circuit. From experience, I know that there isn't all that much voltage across it, so these diodes will do 1N4148s. They're rated for 100 volts. I've also tried using 1N4007s. And they work okay, but those have a rather slow response time. They're meant for really like power supply 60 hertz type applications, whereas these are high-speed switching. These are running at 15.75 kilohertz. These work a little bit better, and they can handle the voltages and currents just fine. Another thing is this guy, which I'm pretty darn sure is a replacement. The original was 47K 2 watt, and here's a photo of what the original chassis would look like, and you can see it's running at a bit of an angle, and there's another resistor under it running at another angle. But on this they're running straight, but that's actually okay because pads on the other side go to the same place, whether they're crisscrossed or parallel, doesn't really matter. But I did notice that there's some, looks like somebody's been working a bit on this, and this resistor is rather large and overhanging a bit, so I think this is actually an old repair. And I've seen one or two other spots inside where it looks like a little bit of work has been done, so I think this TV may very well have been serviced in the past. Now, I also discovered something that I don't have all the parts I need on hand. For example, this guy, 0.068. I've got those capacitors of that rating on hand, or that capacity, I should say, but not that voltage rating. Similarly, this guy is rated for 1600 volts. So I had to place an order for a few of those, and including this guy, 10 microfarad. This says 475 volts. The parts list says 500 volts, and so does the other set that I worked on. So that may be a replacement. But either way, I don't have a 475 either. The only caps I have are rated for 450. So I put together a little parts order, placed it with DigiKey, because Mauser just doesn't have any plastic film caps rated for over 630 volts, really. Whereas DigiKey has a pretty good selection of the higher voltage caps. So that should arrive in a few days. In the meantime, I will do what work I can with the parts I do have on hand.